Well, first of all, let's try and fix this handle. The first part was basically to show you how to do a simple block object, because I'm assuming that you probably don't know. So now we're going to make a handle that looks a little bit better. So in order to do that, we're going to draw another plane. Use this push and pull tool to make it a little bit bigger. Not worried about the size right now because I will fix that later. Then now that we have this big rectangular block that we're going to make our handle, we will click on the line tool. And when you click on the line tool, like I said, it's magnetic. So it'll give you like endpoints, also midpoints, if you want to divide an object like we do. So you just move it along the line, eventually it'll come to the midpoint, draw the line down. And from there we're going to add a circle to make this handle. And once again, the same thing, it's magnetic, so you'll find the center, it'll find it for you rather. And then you can just drag it, make it a little bit bigger, and then you have your circle. So how do we make this into a handle? Well, once again, you have to click on the push and pull tool. You have this excess here, around here. Now, we could have drawn the cylinder the same way, but I wanted to divide it to do something else with it. So we're going to click on the push and pull tool because we want to get rid of this excess here. And you just select the face, drag it, push it, and there you go. It'll delete itself when you get to the edge. And there you have this cylinder that we're going to turn into the handle. So let's click back on that select tool. Select the side of the face that we drew down the center, not the front. And from here, we're going to use the scale tool once again to stretch out a little bit, kind of make it a little bit oval. And the same thing on the other side. Try to get it approximately around the same. So now you have this oval type shape. So now we can go on the back, and this is why I didn't want to, if I can get it to be straight. Now you can go on the back. So if you click, using the select tool, if you click on the face once, it'll select this face. If you double click that, it'll select the face and the edge of the shape, object, whatever, that you're trying to mess with. So once again, we're going to hit the scale, and now when we hit the scale, it's only going to affect the selected area, which is the face and the outline. So we're going to move that down a little bit, and then move this scaling down a little bit. And so now what do we have? We have this, looks more like a handle. It's oval, and it's got a distal taper. So, and you can, move it up a little bit and down a little bit to get it really fine. So you have a really nice smooth distal taper, which will be going to replace this block. So we'll have a nicer looking handle. Right now, how is this handle? That's pretty good. If you wanted to, depending on the type of handle it is, which if you look at it, it's kind of the same shape, but if you had, say, more of a football shape, what I mean by that is we're going to make it into a group first. But say you wanted to do this. Say you're making it like a two-handed sword or something. Control-C, Control-V, paste it. So you just copied it basically. And then what you can do, if I can find it, here is the rotate tool. Or actually, you can actually do it this way. If you right-click on this group that you just made, you can say flip along, and it'll give you X, Y, and Z, red, green, blue. So first we have to find out which direction that is, so that would be green, I guess. Flip along green, and there you have it. It automatically mirrors the, I keep saying image, mirrors the shape. and then you can just move it into place if you wanted to. It's a little bit tough to get it exactly where you want it. There is another way to do this, but I actually don't know how. There we go. A little bit off, but you can fix it by doing that and just scaling it until it's the proper, well, it meets up with the other part properly. It's too big, too big. Anyway, so now you have this. And this would be great if you wanted to make like a two-handed sword or something like that. Actually, we can use this as it is for this rapier handle and select both of those and make a group out of that. So we have that. Now, just need to shrink it down for the right size. Move it into place. And I'm going to delete the original, I didn't even make it into a group. And, oh yeah, to deselect, when you select multiple things, just hold shift, and click off. And there you go. Now you can delete that. Put this in there. Since it looks a little bit nicer, maybe. I don't know. And let's shrink it lengthwise a bit. Move this back a little bit. Not making an exact replica of the rapier, more like an inspired rapier. And let's widen that grip a little bit. Just, and if you want to, you can save you, take you away from here. Now, let's see, if you want to, somewhere, measurements, oh, yeah, it'll come up, that you can get really in detail also in this entity information. You can get really detailed. Where was it? Hang on, I have to find it. But it'll give you exact measurements if you wanted to make this precisely, exactly even and stuff like that. So we now have a nicer hilt. I like it a lot. Sometimes you have to fiddle around to get an idea of what you're going to do. So now this is a really hard part. So this is a flat image. It looks like it has kind of like a double ring type thing going on. And then this squiggly sort of crossguard. So we'll start out doing the double ring. One thing we can do right off the bat is delete all this excess lines. Oops. Because these are, oops, I didn't mean to do that. This line was inside that group. But I'm going to delete all these. So now we have that. And this is basically a sword right now, sword hilt right now if we wanted to. But we're going to make these rings. So in order to make these rings, we're going to use the circle tool again. Make a nice circle. Now this is going to be a little bit different. We're going to click on the face and delete it. So we just have the outside line of it. Now we're going to do the same thing, sort of what we did with the sphere, and try to get it so that the circle is on the line. Now, in order to do this, basically you have to, once again, rotate the camera, move the circle until it says that's on the edge. Draw your circle, although it didn't work that time because it wasn't straight. I'm trying to get it straight. Sometimes you have to fiddle around with it because it doesn't always, depending on where your camera is, it may draw it slightly askew. This is a little bit better. Let's see if we can rotate that a little bit. Just trying to get it along the line as best as we can. because we're going to use this tools, or is it follow me, and if I can select it, there, basically click on, do that again, so go to tools, follow me, click on the face, then click on this line, and sometimes depending on where you put it, it'll go around quickly, or you can just follow the line with your cursor, and now you have a ring. That looks pretty cool. Ring thing, do your thing. So, select all. Once again, we're going to make it into a group. And now, let's look at this again. So it has kind of two rings, one on top, on the bottom, but they're not 100% circular. They're, once again, kind of oval shape, so we're going to use the scale tool to make it oval. And now we're going to use the rotate tool because we want to move this ring so it's up and down. And then in order to use this rotate tool, just click on it and try to find the center or around the center of the object that you're trying to rotate. And it has this, it's like a, what is it called? The plane protractor. It's like a protractor. And sometimes, it'll be a little bit tricky because this is a tough type of object because it's shaped oddly. But in case you can't rotate it like I just did, it's not exactly correct. What you can do is just move it into 3D space along the, well, in this case it's the red because I'm trying to rotate it up. And then just rotate it, whatever, 90 degrees. And then you will have it the proper rotation and it will not be skewed. Because when you click out here, rather than click on the object, if you click on the object, it'll rotate. As you can see, the protractor, 360 protractor, is not 100% straight, and it will light red when it's 100% on this face. So because it's not 100% on this face, when you go to rotate it, it won't be 100%, the correct way. But now that it is, because you, once again, click, you want to wait until it's red, or whatever angle you're trying to rotate it, blue, or I guess green over here, rotate it. And once we've got that, now we're going to start moving this into place. And have to do a little bit of resizing and finagling. How is this connected? Alright. So, it's connected straight onto the cross guard. And right in the center. So that's kind of not bad. Control C, Control V. Then move this one below it. You do have to move the camera around, like I said, with the middle mouse button, because that is basically your perspective. So whatever you're looking at, and it sounds complicated, but it's not once you get into it, because it's the same idea as a video game. Whatever you're looking at is the way you're going to move it. So here we go. Now we have a really nice double ring handguard thing going on. So, by the way, this rapier is going to be used by an enemy character not in the first episode of Gun Metal Black, in episode 24 actually. Right now I'm waiting on Code Black Hayate's lines for episode 1. That is almost finished. I just have to, well, put in her lines and do all that stuff. But most of the action is pretty much done. So let's see, what else? I don't know if I'm going to really get fancy and do all this stuff, but I'll just show you maybe this part of the guard. So that's just basically a curve. So in order to make that, we're going to use the arc tool. Just draw a line and move it up or down to get that arc. And here you have a line. And it's either a line or a path is what it's called. And from here, we're going to do the same thing just like we did on the double ring. Draw a circle at the end of this line, if I can get it right. There we go. Try to get it as close to being straight as possible. Sometimes you have to move it a bit. There we go, that's almost straight on there. And move it back to the line so that it intersects with the path or line. And go back to follow me. And actually, for that, because that's kind of really small for a guard, well, at least the diameter of the circle is kind of look really small. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And that should be, there we go. That shouldn't be bad. So again, tools, follow me. Click on the face. I can get my camera into position. There we go. And draw right along the path. Just click and hold right along that line. And you have your handle piece, whatever you want to call it. And it looks like there's another one of those rounded things. So when you have this group, you just double click on it to enter it. We're going to copy that piece. Click on this screen on the outside to get out of it. Paste. Bam. Bam! Got a nice circle. Going to add it on to the end of this. We can move it into place. Make it a little bit smaller because I want to make this one piece. There we go. Now a little bit, over a little bit, over the other way a little bit. Alright, is that almost in place? I cannot tell. It looks almost in place. There we go, there we go. There we go. So we're going to make this into a group again. Select both of them. Edit, make group. And so now we have this nice hand guard type thing. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And move it into place. Down, scale it up a little bit. Got a little bit warped. There we go. Now just move it into place. And we're going to have to rotate a little bit. Once again, you can just, in order to make sure, since it's not a square, since it's got rounded edges, in order to rotate it into place, you have to click on the plane. Well, not click on the plane, but just click the rotation tool and line it up with the plane to get the correct angle. It sounds weird because I don't know any other way to explain it. Just move that onto there. Okay. So let's see what else. That's a little bit not right, but maybe more like this. Alright. And there. That looks pretty good. Okay, now we have a decent handle. And let's move this down a bit. Is that straight on there? Just have to eyeball everything. Okay, now we have a handle. Once again, I'm going to make it into a group. Since it looks pretty good, I don't want any of those pieces to accidentally move if I click on them. So now we're going to make the blade, which is the simplest thing. It's basically just a rectangle. Very long rectangle. And we're just going to draw the plane like we did before. Click on one end. Drag it out. Until you have the length that you want. Move this back a little bit. Oh, wrong button. There we go. Move tool. That's what we want. Except we moved in the wrong place. Alright. There. Nope. Not quite. There we go. Alright. So now we want to make a blade. Same thing, we're going up here to push and pull, because we want to turn it into a block, basically. And now, in order to make a blade, we can get to the edge, or the face, end of it, find the midpoint, and we're going back to the line. Find these midpoints, draw this cross, because we want to do, this is basically the cross section of the blade. So, we're just outlining this bit by bit. So you have a diamond shape, because that's what you want, diamond-shaped blade. And then, just like we did with the handle before, you click on push and pull, and we're going to push all that back until it disappears. So you have this diamond-shaped thing. Did we get it on? Yep. Okay. Alright. And you have a diamond-shaped blade. It's my diamond sword, sword, sword. I won't get bored, bored. Stretch this into there, there. Now we have a sword, sword. Now click on this part. Delete all these lines because we don't need them anymore. I'm going to click on the face. And now we're going to do the scale thing again. Scale it down, because we want to make a tip. This isn't exactly a tip because it's not sharp, pointy. But, alright, so what do we have? We have, it's got this little taper on it, which looks nice. Now I want to kind of move this, because if you see from scaling it down that this is not straight, it's kind of got that slant down. So let's move this up. You just click on the selected face with your move tool, and there you go. Moved it up. Now it's pretty straight. Alright, so let's go on this side and just make sure, is it straight enough? It looks like it's straight enough. I think it's straight. Alright, so we're going to select the whole blade, make a group again. So that's what we do. Now, it isn't a diamond shape, so we have to flatten it a bit. Go to the smithery. If I can get this into the right place. We want to go into the center of the blade and flatten it out a little bit by just clicking on these handles. Here we go. Click on those handles. Flatten it out. Now we have a point. Very thin blade. And does this have anything? That's pretty much it. Nice rapier. I can move these if I want to make the blade even thinner. I can click on these handles, and there we go. That is our blade, pretty much. Nice rapier, super thin blade. We didn't go all crazy with the handle, but I don't know if I want it even thinner. I might. No, that's actually pretty good where it is. So, okay, we'll paint it really quickly. With 3D, since I'm doing anime style and it's cell shaded-esque type, you don't have to really get into texturing. You can just paint it flat colors. And so your paint bucket, if you don't have this window open, the materials window, just click on your paint bucket and it gives you the materials window. So now all of these things are in groups. So when we go to click it, or paint it rather, we just click on, gray for the sword. Bam! That whole group is painted. Same thing with this. The whole group is painted. So, in order to paint specific areas, like we want to paint that handle, what do we want to make it? Brown? No, I'm going to make it white. Okay. You just, to enter your big group, double click, and then click on that, bam. Nice white type of handle, ivory type of thing. And just for some contrast, I'm going to make these circular bits a little bit darker steel color. And probably this too. Is that it? Alright, that's pretty much it. It doesn't look like much now because it's just flat colors and there are no shadows on here, but like there are render plugins. Like if you wanted to make this into like 3D art and take a picture that's really nice looking, you could do it in Sketchup with some render. I think it's like Lux Render or something. That's a plugin that you have to buy and it's kind of expensive. Or you could actually export this, just file export, and you can export it as 3D model 2D graphic. That's a 2D graphic, and I'll just save it as a JPEG, which is just basically something for thumbnail or something like that. This is a very long blade. The character that's going to be using this is Sky. He's kind of a pompous guy, so he's going to use this sword, and we can delete this now that we don't need it. And there's the sword. And I can take the whole thing, make it into a group. Now I can move it anywhere without worrying about things moving from their space. Now when I export this, I'm going to want to try and put the handle of it into the center of the X, Y, and Z, because that is where when the character grips it, or when I import it into MMD or another program, I want the center of it to be not, the center of the blade, but rather the center of where it's gripped in the hand. And so now we can just export it. There's a plugin there. This 3D Wrap plugin, you have to search for it on Google. It is a plugin that exports DirectX files. So when you export this, it will be .x versus like an object file or something that you use in Blender or something like that, which Blender you can import rather, .x files too. So we're going to export this, and where is it? I have to find where I put my stuff. I have a really big library now of just tons and tons of models and things. So I put into props, and here we go. Sky's sword. And Rapier. So this is a really simple model, so it doesn't really have that many faces, and bam, it's done. Later I will show you how to use this in MMD. Now that you have made the sword, you can easily import it into MMD and give it to a character. But thanks for watching. I'm going to make some other prop tutorials. You can also use Sketchup to make background scenes like cities and cars and all sorts of stuff, along with characters too, although making characters, it's a little bit easier to use another program called, I think it's DAZ 3D, that has some built-in things just to make characters a little bit easier. And you can import them into here, export them out, and you'll have them in MMD or Blender or whatever you're going to use for animation later. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time.